It's so good to see you on this Sunday. Join me, if you will, in taking a deep breath and preparing for the service with the attitude of prayer as I lead us in our opening prayer. We are grateful to join together in our divine wholeness and perfection as one heart and one mind in love. We are grateful for the inspiration of the service, grateful for all who are adding their talents and love to inspire us and lift us up. We are grateful for the messages of the Voice for God coming to us today through Ted's music and Lorri's words. We receive these words and all the blessings presented here with gratitude. We accept in this moment the truth of who we are, our joy, our beauty, our prosperity, wisdom, clarity, peace, freedom, and of course, love. We share the benefits with everyone because we are one. We let it be, and in grace and gratitude, we know it is done, and so it is. Amen. Amen, amen. I'd like to introduce Ted Schwartz, our musician for today. On his journey of 70 plus years, Ted has lived a full life that has included growing up on a farm, having a successful business as well as going through bankruptcy, the loss of his wife, cancer, and living happily in a blended family with his current wife, Mary Ellen, and their 6 children, 18 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Ted's the much-loved leader of our men's ministry at the Power of Love Ministry, and he co-facilitates our bereavement support group. His rich life, filled with love, has led him to be a prolific songwriter, having written hundreds of songs about love and loss. And we're so grateful to have you here, Ted. I love when I get to host and you're the musician. Would you please bring us our first song?
Well, it's all about love. There's a need to talk about it, though some have climbed mountains and shouted. Love. We're gonna talk about love. For no matter what we do, before this life on earth is through, we need to be love. Men let pride get in their way, caught up in living the everyday, too busy to stop and think what this life is about. Making a living, climb to the top, have life's true fortunes if we'd only stop. Take the time to give and take love. For no matter what we do, before this life on earth is through, we need to be love. Yes, there's a need to talk about it, though some have climbed mountains and shouted. Love. Talk about love. For no matter what we do, before this life on earth is through, we need to be love. We need need to be loved. We need to be loved.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do. Thank you, Ted. I love that song. And I'm so grateful to be serving today with Lorri Gifford as well. Lorri has been sharing Spirit's message with clients since 1986. She started at the age of 20, giving psychic readings as the youngest member invited into the Psychic Center in Rochester, New York. She had the honor of studying and working at the Chopra Center of Well-Being and served as their spa director and a lead educator for over 4 years. She loves to write, and her book, 90 Days to Learning the Tarot, No Memorization Required, was published by Schiffer Publishing in 2014. In 2016, she became part of the Power of Love ministry as both a student and a staff member. In 2021, she trusted Spirit's guidance and stepped fully into her role as a teacher of God. She is a certified spiritual counselor through the Power of Love ministry. Feeling safe while expressing her emotions and asking for what she would like is a life skill that she has learned to develop. And she enjoys supporting others in doing the same. Lorri's deepest desire is to show up and be truly helpful while loving and serving whoever Spirit brings to her and brings her way. Lorri, so grateful to be with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Beth. I am so grateful that you stepped up and are hosting today. Ted, I love when you are the musical guest. And I have a funny story about that. That's part of my talk of you ending up being here today. So I can't wait to share that. And welcome everyone that's here, whether you're here live right now with us or you are listening later. I'm just so grateful. Today, I'd like to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It's the topic of cause and effect and what that really means. So for the month of February, I made a commitment to read the cause and effect section in A Course in Miracles every day. Every morning I started by reading that section. And for those of you that would like to know where it can be found in the text, I'm speaking about chapter 2, section 7. Reading it every day, and I got this nudge by Spirit, read it every day for the month of February. That was my self-love gesture to myself. And reading it every day set into motion such an amazing string of synchronistic events. Oh, I'm just so grateful I made the commitment to do that and I followed that nudge. In A Course in Miracles, the cause and effect section talks about how everything that happens is a result of what we think, believe, and choose. It teaches us that our thoughts and our feelings create the world that we experience. Our thoughts, our beliefs, and our perceptions are the causes that shape our reality or the effect that we are perceiving. It's where these thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions are rooted that are the key. So are those thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions that we're holding on to, are they rooted in love? Or are those thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions rooted in fear? And in February, I really did a deep dive into looking at where my thoughts were rooted. For example, if I was on Facebook and I read about what the media or my friends were sharing about the political climate, I would begin to think that the world was full of fear or anger. I would get pulled into that. My thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs would be rooted in fear. And then what I thought about that would be reflected in the feeling I carried with me throughout the day. And I really started paying attention to that. If I fed the fear, more fear was generated. And that didn't feel very good. If my cause was ego-based or focused on fear and upset, I'd feel more fearful and upset. Now, I'm not saying ignore the news or live in a bubble. A Course in Miracles isn't asking us to live in a bubble. What that section is inviting us to do is release the fear rather than feeding it. The first paragraph in that section starts with this line: you may still complain about fear, but you nonetheless persist in making yourself fearful. I have already indicated that you cannot ask me to release you from fear. I know it does not exist, but you do not. And then later in that same paragraph, it says, it is much more helpful to remind you that you do not guard your thoughts carefully enough. You may think that at this point, it would take a miracle to enable you to do this, which is perfectly true. You are not used to miracle-minded thinking, but you can be trained to think that way. All miracle workers need that kind of training. All of us need that kind of training. The things that happen to us, our emotions, and our experiences are the effects that come from our thoughts. If we focus on love, peace, and understanding, the effect in our life will reflect those qualities. The cause and effect section in the Course encourages us to recognize that we have the power to choose our thoughts. And by choosing thoughts based on love, forgiveness, and peace, we can change the effects we experience in the world. The key message is we are not the victims of the world we see. Our thoughts and our beliefs shape our reality, or we think they do. By changing the cause, we change the effect. The section also teaches that the real cause of everything is either love or lack of love. So we can choose our cause. Do we want to be rooted in love, or are we rooted in the lack of love? Now, when we're in alignment with love, we experience peace and joy. And when we're disconnected from love, we experience fear and pain. So in short, A Course in Miracles teaches us that by changing our thinking, by choosing love over fear, peace over conflict, we can change the effects in our lives. One of my prayer partners sent me the perfect Instagram video this morning that fits into what I'm sharing right now. On the video, a female spiritual teacher was talking about the power of our words. Her suggestion to help us realize how we're using our words was to add a simple phrase on the end of each sentence we say. And it's a very humbling sentence. And doing that will speed up realizing what we're thinking or believing. And I tried it and I had to laugh because it did. So, for example, if I'm feeling frustrated about a situation in my life and I'm talking to a friend and I say something like, oh, things are never going to change. The teacher from this video suggested that I add the sentence onto the end of that says, and that's just the way I want it. So the sentence becomes, things are never going to change, and that's just the way I want it. Or the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and that's just the way I want it. Or I'm living paycheck to paycheck and can never seem to get ahead, and that's just the way I want it. And that's just the way I want it. That is such an eye-opener. We have the power of choice to choose the words we're using, to become a master of the thoughts that we're thinking, of the words that we're using, of the beliefs that we're forming. And I'm so grateful for the timing of my friend sharing this in more ways than one. So thank you, Mary Lou. In paragraph 2 of the cause and effect section, Jesus says, I cannot let you leave your mind unguarded, or you will not be able to help me. Miracle working entails a full realization of the power of thought in order to avoid miscreation. Just let that sink in for a moment and ask yourself, how often am I aware of the words that I'm choosing to use internally and externally? How often am I aware of the choice I'm making between love and fear? Miracle-minded thinking is thinking that's rooted in love. It's a change of mind, and we're so used to the way that the world seems to think. It seems to think, at least I perceive it, to think in terms of fear, concern, worry, anxiety, anger. And that's really what's going on inside of me. And it's become a habit. And reading that section every day for the month of February really had me see that I can train my mind and train myself to align with love. It does take some work. And we can all let love be the cause and let the effect be a loving effect. The other thing I started to think about this month was that sometimes before I can shift my mind, I am so caught up in the upset and in the feelings, and I get distracted. So before a shift can happen, it's important sometimes that we let go of the upset or the feeling so that we can have the shift. And this month, I've been really delving into a practice that supports that as well. Another friend happened to share a YouTube video with me this month about a teacher named Florence Scovel Shin. Florence Scovel Shin was a female spiritual teacher who was born in the late 1800s and lived until 1940. The late 1800s, she lived until 1940. And her teachings were centered around the power of the words we use. She was a successful spiritual teacher and she was female during that time period. So the power of her word truly worked. She's also known as one of Louise Hay's teachers. And one of her practices for being able to work with the feelings that are blocking us when we'd like to shift back into love, when we'd like to choose the cause as being love, and we're working with our own feelings that are blocking us, is to use a very simple phrase. And her phrase is, I cast this burden on the Christ within and I go free. I cast this burden on the Christ within and I go free. And I really like her version of that saying, because as a student in A Course in Miracles, I feel like it completely supports the work that I'm doing. It reminds me that the Christ light's within me. And she was around way before A Course in Miracles was born. One of the things I also realized when I started using this was, if I'm working with clients that have an aversion to using the word Christ, I could suggest using divinity or love and light. So I cast this burden on the Christ within can shift to, I cast this burden on the divinity within and I go free. Or I cast this burden on the love and light within me and I go free. I use this phrase now whenever I'm feeling upset. And that's really easy to do because I'm an empath. In fact, today I've used it 3 or 4 different times for 3 or 4 different things. And it has helped shift me every single time. I use it over and over again as needed. I use it until I feel a lightness or a clearing. And I can attest to the fact that it works. I've used it again and again, and every time I do, it feels like I'm handing whatever it is over to the Christ within me, to the Christ light. And I do feel free. It's such a powerful statement. I actually remember the first time I used it last month after I had read about it. I had woken up that morning and I was feeling heavy and sad for the state of the world, for politics, for the state of the world. I was just feeling so much. And I was out walking. And as I was feeling upset and angry and alone, I started saying, I cast this anger on the Christ within and I go free. I cast this anxiety on the Christ within and I go free. I cast this fear on the Christ within and I go free. And I kept saying it. And I kept naming whatever emotion or thought was on my mind. And I kept doing it until I felt a lightness. And I did. About, I would say, 30 minutes into doing it, I started to notice that I felt these glimmers of joy. The colors around me seemed brighter. I could hear the birds singing, and it made me smile. And I was enjoying the walk. That feeling was gone, and that meant everything to me. We have that power to choose our thoughts. And I chose to first hand over the thoughts and feelings that were blocking my ability to be able to choose a loving one, to be able to choose love as my cause. When I did that, I cleared the space. And then my cause came from love. And the result were those glimmers of joy. The other aha that I had last month was around the concept of the divine masculine. You know, we often hear about the divine feminine and opening up to our intuition and receiving intuitive guidance. I started to piece together and see that the divine masculine is about using the power of our words by choosing to root ourselves in love as the cause. because the divine feminine is that energy of being, of stillness, and that divine masculine is that energy of action. I was like, oh, it's the choice of using the power of our words and choosing where we're rooting it and choosing to root it in love and using that and going in that direction is connecting with the divine masculine. And the circle felt really complete, understanding the divine masculine and the divine feminine and how they work together. So to put this into action in everyday life, use both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We first have to recognize that we're having thoughts that are lacking in love and not deny that they are there. Recognize them. Don't deny them. Secondly, we have to remind ourselves that when we dwell on or ruminate on unloving thoughts, stories, or beliefs, that we're only going to reinforce the upset that we're feeling, and that worrying, analyzing, and dissecting the problem will only exacerbate it. Why did this happen? Let me analyze it for a little while. Let me worry about it. Let me repeat this story to my friend about why I'm upset. Let's pull it apart and try to figure out why so-and-so did this. That's all exacerbating and what happened in the past. It's being in the cause of fear, and the effect will create more fear, more anger, more worry. Once we realize and remind ourselves and decide and choose not to dwell, ruminate, worry, analyze, or dissect, we can offer these loveless thoughts and feelings to the divine or to the Christ within and allow ourselves to receive a shift. We can use a statement like the one I mentioned earlier. I release this burden to the Christ within and I go free. I love that. And I go free. Or I release this burden to the light and love within and I go free. Or I release this burden to the divinity within and I go free. We can name each of the feelings and thoughts, or we can just use the word burden if no descriptive words are coming to mind. And we can keep doing that until we feel lighter, until we're really willing to hand that over. And when we recognize that the true source of our fear and the way that we're feeling are the unloving thoughts that we're allowing ourselves to think, we can take responsibility for our words and we can go into divinely guided action. Our willingness to hand them over shows our willingness to be given a loving solution. And there is a loving solution to every problem. Spirit will then give us a new perception or a different way of seeing things. And we'll recognize how different, we'll start to see how different our life feels and seems to us. In those moments, we can shift to a more loving thought if we choose an experience, and we can choose and experience different effects, cause and effect. Another example I can share actually happened this morning, and it was about speaking at Sundays with Spirit today. I was taking my dog for a walk, and I connected for a few moments with Jennifer on the phone. Originally, we didn't have a musical guest, and she was calling to explain to me what I could do to provide music for Sundays with Spirit today. Full disclosure, the human part of me started to feel stressed and worried about that. And I recognized it. And I thought about this topic that I was sharing today, and I laughed. I could see that my fearful thoughts about screwing up the music were causing me to be afraid of speaking today. So I used the statement I shared with you earlier, and I repeated it for a good 15 minutes. And as my fear was neutralized, I started to think about what I would like. I started to believe that there was an effortless and easy answer to the music for today's service, and that it was unfolding. And Ted, I even had a flash of your face, and I let that go as well. I just stayed rooted in the belief that all was well, and that regardless of whatever was going to happen, was going to be effortless and easy, all under divine grace. And an hour later, I received several messages. One was from Jennifer, one was on WhatsApp, and one was from Faith Rumor, telling me that Ted had stepped up to be the musical guest for today. That was cause and effect in action. I actively chose to let go of what was causing fear in that moment, and I trusted in love and in a loving solution. The other thing that made me smile was that I received 2 separate messages from Faith, letting me know about the solution, that Ted was stepping up. And the fact that I had faith in an effortless and easy solution, and the name of the person reaching out to me twice was named Faith, did not escape me. I love Spirit's sense of humor. The bottom line is that both miracles and fear come from thought, and we are free to choose the type of thoughts we think. And trying to master the fear, we feel it's useless. If I tried to master it and think positively, just jumping over how I was feeling and not releasing it, I would have had a completely different experience. The effect would have been fear. When we release our fear to the Christ within, we go free, because mastery can only be achieved through love. I've been thinking a lot too about what's going on politically, and I have this dream. My dream is that a group of us commit to using this phrase whenever we read anything, anywhere, about what's going on in the country and in the world. And instead of staying stuck in the fear, we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling, and we use that phrase. I cast this fear on the Christ within, and we go free. I cast this anger on the Christ within, and we go free. I cast this anxiety on the Christ, on the state of the world, the state of our politics, to the Christ within, and we go free. I've been already doing that. And I bless all of those involved in politics. I see my divinity saluting their divinity, and I continue to cast any fears or anything that's coming up on the Christ within, and I claim that we will go free. Imagine what would happen if that became the practice for all of us, instead of focusing on the stories and what's showing up. I have no doubt that things would change. I have no doubt that things are changing. You know, I was also watching an award show recently, and Jane Fonda was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award, and her speech was so uplifting. She talked about the concept of community and of stepping up, and of stepping up with love. And one thing she said that really, really stuck with me was that she said, in our lifetimes, we've watched documentaries about Selma, or about the rise of Hitler, or other catastrophic events in world history, and we have seen heroic figures step up. She then said that the time we're living in right now is a documentary unfolding, and we are the ones that are being asked to step up. We are the miracle workers. being asked to stand in the light, to uphold the true cause, which is love, so that the true effect can be felt and seen by all. It's time to create a documentary about the 2025 miracle workers. Who's with me on that? Thank you so much. And to finish, I'd like to lead everyone through a guided meditation to further support shifting into miracle-minded thinking and choosing love as the cause. So go ahead right in here, right now. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Allow yourself to relax and be present in this moment. Just breathing in and out. Begin by gently acknowledging any loveless thoughts or feelings that you may be experiencing. Don't deny their presence, just simply recognize them without judgment. These thoughts are part of your current experience or situation in your life, and it's okay to acknowledge them without judgment. Realizing that dwelling on them, worrying, analyzing, or dissecting them will only reinforce your upset over them. Instead, take a breath and offer these loveless thoughts or feelings to Spirit or to the Christ within you. Be willing to receive a shift in your perception. Begin to release these thoughts, these feelings, and these burdens by saying silently to yourself, I release this burden to the divinity within, and I go free. Feel free to name each feeling or thought, or simply use the word burden. I release this burden to the divinity within, and I go free. Let's just take a few moments here and do that now. I release this, whatever it is, to the divinity within, and I go free. I release this burden to the divinity within, and I go free. Good. By being willing to hand them over, you're demonstrating your willingness to receive the true and real solution. Breathing into that, I release this burden to the divinity within, and I go free. Release this burden to the divinity within, and I go free. As you continue handing your burdens over, the shift has already begun. The clarity is starting to shine through. Allow Spirit to show you a different way of seeing the situation. Feel the shift within you as you open up the love. I release the burden to the divinity within, and I go free. In this moment, what loving thought comes to mind? Maybe it's a thought, maybe it's just a feeling of lightness. Allow yourself to experience the peaceful effect that come with your willingness to offer them over and experience the shift and embrace the feeling of freedom and lightness. Take a few more deep breaths, feeling the peace and love flowing within you. When you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to the present moment and open your eyes. Thank you for joining this meditation and allowing me to share this message with you. May you carry this sense of peace and freedom throughout the rest of your day and week. I'm so grateful that I got to share this time with you. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you, Lorri. Thank you so much. And maybe we can hold that space a little bit longer as Ted leads us in another song. Please, Ted.
I dream the sky is royal blue, sun dances on the morning dew, it's always spring. I dream love shackled by pride, in the chains of fear inside, goes dancing free. I dream the truth that's meant to be is revealed to you and me, and we believe. I dream where hate is only found in history, love flows gently like a stream, all the anthems of the world sing of peace and harmony. I dream the sky is royal blue, sun dances on the morning dew, it's it's always spring. I dream, love shackled by pride, in the chains of fear inside, goes dancing free. Oh yes, I dream, the truth that's meant to be, it's revealed to you and me, and we believe. I dream. It may be silly to think the simple songs that I sing might find their way to your hearts, and you dream along with me. I dream the sky, it's royal blue, the sun dances on the morning dew, and it's always spring. Oh yes, I dream, love shackled by pride, in the chains of fear inside, go dancing free. Oh yes, I dream, the truth that's meant to be is revealed to you and me, and we believe. I dream, I dream.
Oh, Ted, I'm so grateful for that. Once again, Spirit has led you to the perfect song. Awesome, awesome job. And I love it. Thank you. And thank you for such a great message. Well, it is time for us to move into that powerful experience of sharing in small groups, smaller groups. Whatever's come up for you during this talk, this beautiful talk, which I appreciated so much. I'm so glad to be here with Lorri. We are going to go into a breakout. They may be small. Hopefully not too many people leave, because otherwise it'll make it very small. But if you're going into a breakout and you are on a phone, remember to use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. And be sure to be mindful of your time when you're talking, if you're sharing, so that everybody who wants to get a chance to share can do so. I think that's it. I think that's all you need to know. And we are going to go ahead. Thank you, Adrian. And I would like to welcome you. Sorry, thought I heard something I needed to pay attention to. Lorri, what a great message. It was amazing. And that the I go free part, I have to tell you that I agree with you on that. The spiritual quality of freedom is one that always really rings through me when I read the words of the names of the spiritual qualities, the titles. And freedom, just, I can just feel it. I can feel it, myself soaring as like a bird, or, running on the wind, whatever, So yeah, that was very touching, and just the whole idea, the reminder that we have a choice, and it can either be fear or love, um, and that can have such an effect, such a ripple effect. I think is the important piece too. If we want to make a difference, that's certainly a very, very powerful way to do it. I am unable to see everyone at this point. There we go. If anybody else has something they'd like to say, Ted, do you have any comments?
Well, I agree, dittos to what Beth has just mentioned. And I myself, believe it or not, have been drawn to chapter 2 because of my son. Um, uh, just some of the things that he's gone through and was going through. And the turnout, and I just had a conversation with him, an hour-long conversation with him just before we started. And he had moved out of state to Wisconsin to take a position with Habitat for Humanity. He ran the construction site. He's a master carpenter in Racine, Wisconsin, and he ran the construction there for 11 years until COVID. And of course, think of Habitat. They're all volunteers. You can't have all these volunteers coming from all over the place and somebody coughing. And so they scaled back, finished up the projects, and then they said, we got to let you go. So he's in Wisconsin. That was his life. I mean, and he took up drinking. He just got a job. I mean, he get no problem getting a job. And but he really was on a downhill slope, and spent hours on the phone with him. I mean, when I say hours, I'm not kidding you. I mean, the longest was 13 hours in one conversation. Average 3-4 hours during this down thing, just trying to keep him from not doing something crazy. In Milwaukee is one of the largest habitat in Wisconsin. And I mean, when he was on the bottom, they called. He went in for an interview. Hands down, they just quit interviewing anyone and gave him the job. And I mean, he just turned him right around. He knows that job. He knows Habitat. He's a different person. But in my conversations with him, that's what I was drawing on, the same thing. You've got to see it. You've got to envision it. You've got to call to it. And you've got to release those thoughts, those doubts. And I love that. I love that line, and it's going to be great. And I like to, when you talk about some of the things that we say, in adding, that's just the way I want it. It's like, that was like perfect. And then continuing on with, you got to cast all the doubts, to enable yourself to put it in the light of love and just go free from it. Just go free from it. So yes, thank you for that. It definitely, you know what, it's an affirmation for me. Because just like doing the music for Sundays with Spirit, I mean, this is my music outlet. I am in the recording studio though now, so I am going to record these songs. And but when there isn't a musician, they called me, and I've filled in a number of times. But the last few times, Jennifer's just been doing her own thing with the music, and there's a part of me I've had to say, she didn't call me. Why didn't she call me? I would sing. And but I can see now. I'm glad I didn't respond to that. I just let it go free and trust, trust, trust. And here I am, you know. So when I got the call today, it was like, yeah, man, for sure. I'm here. So thank you for sending that out there, because I believe that those thoughts picked up the phone, and I was here and grateful for it. Good job, Lorri. And good to see you, Beth.
Good to see you as well, Ted. We're grateful for your opportunity to be here as well. And I have to agree, Lorri, that just the way I want it. You had me laughing with that one, because it's quite true. It's quite true. It's just like Jennifer has a little rhyme that she says with that as well. Can you repeat the section that you were from chapter 2 that you were talking about? I missed that.
Section 7.
7.
Chapter 2, section 7, cause and effect. It's right after
of course.
Fear and conflict. And it was so funny, because at first I was going to read that one for the month, and then I got nudged. No, read cause and effect. And it was so funny, because everything started lining up, because I was like, what's the missing piece, Spirit? What's the missing piece? Like, I'm aware, I have an awareness of what my burdens are. What is the missing piece? And by reading cause and effect, I was like, boom, boom, boom. All of these, like, someone shared Neville Goddard with me, and then someone shared Florence Scovel Shinn with me. And I was like, these teachers completely, like, dovetail into A Course in Miracles. And now I'm receiving this inspiration of create a workshop where people can come and practice, because Neville Goddard talks all about how if you'd like to be a successful, for instance, musician, speak from the place of being a successful musician. Like, how does it feel? And it's a lot of like what we do when we do the activation sessions in Masterful Living and Empower of Love Ministry. And just all of this, both Florence and Neville, and even Jennifer, talks about how as soon as you wake up and right before you go to sleep, those are the two most powerful times to put something into your mind, because your consciousness is the beta, like what you see in the world, all of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs that are, rooted in what you're perceiving. And then there's the subconscious, which is just like an energy. It's a battery. It's whatever kind of you put into it. It's like spirit. You're going to. That's that. And that's the battery. And then the super consciousness is your connection to the divine. So it's so helpful to remember these things and to actually see, oh, there's actually a system or an easy way to do this. Let's just break it down. Okay, yeah, I'm going to repeat this till I feel lighter. I'm going to start thinking about what I would like and imagine it as though it's already happened, and express gratitude and put myself in that feeling state and see what happens. And I also like, I like that whole thing about going free, because I had handed things over before, but when I claim that last little bit and I go free, it makes me want to keep handing things over, because the more I can hand things over, the more I'm going to go free. And that just made the biggest difference to me. And, your song was perfect, Ted. Your second song was perfect. Thank you. It completely connected to the message. And I see we have like 1 minute left before people are going to start to come back.
Okay. Very
So,
good. Thank you, Lorri.
yeah. Yeah. And the meditation flowed through me too. Like I just sat down and I was like, I know how I'd like to create a meditation. And it was like, well, there it is. So in between casting the burden 4 separate times on 4 different issues in my life today. So
Oh, you have that much stuff going on, do you? Don't we all, right?
and that's just the way I like it, or whatever that thing is.
And that's just the way I like it. I have to remember that one because, as I was just about to say to you, I struggle to remember to hand things over. I get wrapped up in whatever it is, and I struggle to stop that and hand it over. And that's what I was just going to say. And then I was and then right as you were saying, and that's just the way I like it. So that was funny. Everyone's coming back. Very good. Very good. Well, I hope everybody had a beneficial time in the breakout. It usually is. And Lorri gave us a lot of food for thought. So hope you enjoyed that breakout. So we're gonna finish up. I'm gonna work our way out of here. I'm gonna bring a few announcements. Ted's gonna bring us one more song. And Lorri, let me ask and or Ted, if you have any links or any information about yourself that you would like to share with everyone before we do announcements.
Sure. I love giving spiritual counseling sessions. So if anyone would like help creating powerful words and clearing stuff and have support through it and create accountability, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my website, readingswithlorri.com. That's READINGS with WITH, Lorri, LORRI.com. And I have just launched a podcast with my friend and co-host. We launched together, Ray, and today or tomorrow, we are going to be releasing the 3rd episode, which is actually an interview with Jennifer. So if anyone is interested in listening to the podcast, you can go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you can type in Daily Intuition. The podcast is called Daily Intuition, and it is a logo that has yellow and pink, fuchsia pink on it. And it just says Daily Intuition, your soul compass. So if you'd like to listen to that, please feel free to do that. And I'll pass the baton to you, Ted.
On mute. Great. Thanks for that, Lorri, and everyone for being here and giving me a chance to share. I am part of the ministry with the Bereavement Grief Group, which meets tomorrow, actually. We meet once a month. And don't think it has to be, a loss that you've experienced, right now. We all carry, and these things come up, the sadness and the needs, not only for, parents, loved ones, children, but including pets. It's surprising, and I myself had lost a pet a year and almost 2 years. Seems like it was last month, but they become part of your family, and they definitely impact you. And so that's tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday night, I facilitate a men's group. And that's every odd week on a Wednesday. So the first, third, and fifth, if there's a fifth week. There's not many men in the ministry, but most of you ladies have men in your lives, and if they want a place to get a little taste of what you're dealing with, this is the group. My email is just tedswartz@gmail. And you can email and just let them email, and we'll get them set up and get them a little interview and bring them on. So we're always looking for the men. And so a song.
Before you do that, Ted, let me do the announcements, and
Go
then
ahead.
we'll pass you on to a song. And I'm going to put my email and my website in the chat. I'm a spiritual counselor in training, and always looking to do some training counseling sessions. I think I only have about 10 left to do before I can do my oral exam with Jennifer and maybe hopefully complete my certification. So if you're interested in helping me reach that achievement, and or just a spiritual counseling session, I work for donation. No amount is too small, and I appreciate all of you. Announcements. To support the Power of Love ministry in doing these Sunday services, and to allow us to make donations to our speakers and our musicians, please click on the link in the chat and scroll to the bottom of the page to click yes, I'd like to contribute. And let's see, would you like to quickly and easily create miracles in your life by cleaning away unresolved emotion and upset? Join Jennifer for a free forgiveness workshop where you will learn to use one of Jennifer's most fundamental tools, the forgiveness letter. The next forgiveness workshop will be held on March 14th at 11 a.m. And Jennifer has been doing them herself, and I believe she's doing this one as well, although I'm not sure. Typically, they were led by counselors, but this year so far, she's been doing them herself. And it's nice to see her energy behind it and her spin on everything. So you might enjoy that. And that, again, is a free workshop. Learn how to understand what faith is and how to apply it in your life in the next one of Jennifer's monthly deep dive workshop series. Activating Faith and Trust for a Happier Life. That's the next one, which will be held on March 8th at 3 p.m. And you can visit the link that Adrienne is going to put in the chat, that will be put in the chat. And you can register for that at the link. You can register for one workshop, or you can register for the series, and that will bring you a discount, a monthly discount. And those I hear are quite exciting. And you can stay on top of all of the Power of Love Ministry events by just visiting the powerofloveministry.net. So yeah, we hope you'll join us for any and all of those exciting workshops. All right, Ted, now we're on for a song, please.
Yes. And this is my 36th chance to be the musician here at Sundays with Spirit. I just want to verbally acknowledge and thank the ministry. And I've also never taken a tithing for doing it ever. I just feel grateful to get an opportunity to share my music. And with that, with the politics, and Lorri, you touched on it, and this is just a great message today. And so I decided to close with this song here. I think take into consideration what we see going on in the world and in our everyday lives. Hope you enjoy it. It's a shame, it's a pity, bloodshed in a poor city by an angry young man. There's an outrage and fury, courtroom and jury, the boy sentenced to life. In the bars they're rejoicing, buying drinks, and they're toasting as the mothers cry. What can we do, me and you? What can we do in a world torn in two? Across town in a small office, a young woman's focused on an unborn life. Window crashes in the room, the blast is their doom, and more mothers cry. As ships on the horizon, guided by wise men protecting our lives. Their call, no surprise, let the rockets fly, more mothers cry. What can we do, me and you? What can we do in a world torn in two? On a cross upon a hill, living out his father's will, the young man dies. Friends gather round and stare at the mother's fallen tears under blackened skies. They sigh, what can we do, me and you? What can we do in a world torn in two? And the mother cries, we love, 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 we love. Thank you guys for letting me share.
Thank you again, Ted. Lorri, would you please lead us out with a prayer?
I would love to. Thank you. Just taking a moment, placing our hands on our heart if we feel so led. Infinite source of love and light. We are grateful to open our hearts to the truth that we all experience is reflected in the thoughts we hold. We affirm that the cause of all things is rooted in the love that is eternal and unchanging, and that every effect is a manifestation of this divine source. We know that our thoughts, our beliefs, and our choices create the world we see. We now release all held thoughts of fear, judgment, or separation. We allow your light to illuminate those areas, transforming them into thoughts of healing, unity, and forgiveness. We release all beliefs that have kept us in conflict or suffering, knowing that cause and effect are never separate, but one. We align our minds with the divine mind, with the truth that peace, love, and joy are our birthright, and we align with your will, your divine will. We trust that in choosing love, we will see its effects reflected back to us in every circumstance, every relationship, and every moment of our lives. In this moment, we choose only the thoughts that create peace, compassion, and understanding. For we know that as we extend love into the world, we will receive love in return. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Lorri. Have a great week, everybody. It was so good to see you.
Thank you. So beautiful. Bye.
Bye-bye.